Four and 1, number 2 in the AFC, number 1 in the AFC North, Pittsburgh Steelers. This is starting to feel a little bit real. Not entirely. I prefaced a little bit on that, but
I'm not gonna lie. Before you even get to your little spiel here, Carter, how about the Ratbirds being in last place?
love to see it. Tied with the
I had to hate
with the Cleveland Browns,
I had
1-5.
Had to do it.
The AFC North looked at as one of the better divisions in NFL every year, and they've kind of hit the opposite of that. Besides the Steelers,
That makes me confident. Compared to years last, where if you lose one game, you gotta like take a look, like, hey, like, can't keep doing that. But now I feel like we got some cushion, and especially with a big division.
Cushion for now.
Yeah.
You can't let off the gas pedal.
Can't.
I know that's something that's prefaced right now.
Especially with Tomlin's team.
Yes, especially with Tomlin's team. But no, you can't let off the gas pedal. Hopefully this team doesn't. I'd prefer they don't get, let off some of this team. But they do have a little bit of a harder schedule coming up, playing some of these more difficult teams, that NFC North with the Packers and the Lions. So we'll see what transpires with some of those games. But as we said, Steelers got a nice, is it two or 3 game win streak, something like that. 23-9 over the Browns. The main thing I liked from that is that run defense.
Yeah.
Judkin's been putting up 100 yards like the past 3-4 weeks. He put up 36 rush yards.
Yeah, he didn't do too much. And I'm not going to lie, I saw a different intensity from that defense that I haven't seen all year. Obviously there's been a whole bunch of injuries, but it looked like these guys were trying to flatline the Browns players. Patrick Queen was flying around. Jalen Ramsey flying around. All the players are flying around, and I love to see it.
Beat them up.
That's what you got to do.
And that's kind of what I think a big tone setter for that is that jumbo set with Washington and Spencer Anderson out there.
I think that I don't know what took them so
long. Get big and kill them.
Do that.
Yep.
But
It's got the run game going.
I'm glad. Though Darnell should have had I think he might have been able to score on one of those passes that Rodgers somehow overthrew him.
I know you're talking about it. He missed one of those. I don't know how close it was to the end zone, but I do know what you're talking about. But we didn't have a full reaction episode after the game because it's a short week.
Yeah.
Steelers play Thursday. Good old Thursday night football. Tomlin's probably shaking in his boots. He's not the best Thursday night football.
He's like, what, 1-5?
Head coach.
Oh, yep, 1-5.
1-9 in total. 1-5 in the past couple of years.
Since 2019, yeah.
Since 2019, they're 1-5. But they've the past times they've played divisional opponents on Thursday night football, they lose.
Yeah.
So let's hope they can break that streak.
That's Joe. Well, Mike Tomlin's 11-11 against Mike Tomlin, so that's also. No, Joe Flacco's 11-11 against Mike Tomlin. Sorry.
I was gonna say, how's Mike Tomlin playing himself? But no. Before we preview that Bengals game, we're gonna a little bit talk about this Browns game briefly before we get in there. But big takeaways from the game. I think the offense and the offensive line. No sacks on Rodgers. Myles Garrett, what do you have, 2 tackles?
Zilch, 1 tackle to be exact.
1 tackle.
He was talking all that trash.
How about that depoy?
He was talking trash all week just to, get silenced by Broderick Jones. Broderick Jones put him into a prison cell. That's what I'll, say.
I'll say Garrett did get a couple reps on him, but, Broderick Jones coming into that game wasn't, a superior offensive lineman in the NFL. So definitely something good to take away from that game.
And how about Mason McCormick?
Yeah.
He looked good, especially on the run blocks. Yeah. There was a few instances where I saw that he was just a people mover.
And I tell you what, I didn't notice Troy Fautanu at all, which is a good thing. So
I did notice him one time. He did get beat on something, but it wasn't like it was a big deal.
Listen, I like what I saw from the offense. Defensively, I liked Ramsey out there, 2 sacks, flying around.
Yeah.
I thought
they need to use him more.
I thought this team was so close to getting an actual turnover, dropping all these picks. There's like 3 dropped interceptions.
There's a reason why those guys don't play offense. They can't catch the dang ball.
I think one's going to be coming with reckless Flacco. Defense, big pressure. 26 pressures in the game. 20 of them came in 2.5 seconds.
How about Herbig?
2 sacks.
Hey, well,
A lot of people are saying Herbig's better pass rusher than Watt. I wouldn't say that, but I definitely think he's a better pass rusher than Highsmith. But Highsmith's better in the run game, I'd say.
honestly, I've been seeing all these like rumors about trading Highsmith. I'm back and forth between it. Like I wouldn't mind it, but I also can see why they would do it. But I've been seeing a lot between Freiermuth and Highsmith. I don't know.
I'd rather trade Freiermuth
Me
than
too.
Highsmith, in my
Me too.
opinion.
Because if there's one common theme of the past few Super Bowl winners, do you know what I'm about to say?
No, I have no idea.
They were deep on the defensive line and edge rusher position.
Okay.
Because if you look at the Eagles, they that's a blueprint right there. Strong defensive line and edge rushers.
They'd have a big front. Granted, they've been getting finessed by the Giants. They got freaking manhandled.
Yeah,
so.
that was actually I called that game too. I knew it was gonna happen.
But overall, I think this team's trending upwards. I don't think the Browns defense going to that game was ranked 2 in the NFL.
And they
1 or 2, and they handled themselves pretty well. I don't like some of those field goal settles, but they put some 2 touchdown drives together towards the end there. So
yeah.
definitely nothing to fully complain about. But that's going to get us into our preview for the Bengals game here. And we're going to start off with some injuries here. Calvin Austin, questionable.
Let him rest.
I think he's doubtful. Short week.
Just let him rest, honestly.
Miles Killebrew, my guy probably tore something serious.
He did. That field was terrible. I'm surprised Boswell
missed field goal.
Because I'm not going to lie. It looked like Boswell's foot literally was planted into the ground, like physically in the ground. But I don't know. I think the field is also getting resodded, so.
It's supposed to. It won't be back there for a little bit.
Still was kind of ridiculous how that field was that bad.
And then Bengals-wise, Mike Gesicki's probably going to be out. He's got a pectoral injury.
Yeah.
They're starting tight end. Lucas Patrick, some guard. I mean, their O-line's pretty pitiful to begin with, so it's getting even worse. Trey Hendrickson's questionable with, what has he got? Hip and back injury. If he's out, I think that offense is going to get a little extra time to eat out there. It's going to be pretty easy pickings if they can keep it together.
This is the fact that the division kind of has fallen off like this is a bit unsettling because going into the season, I didn't think we'd be 4-1 by this point. You know what I mean? Maybe like 3-2 or 2-3 or something along those lines.
We're looking at the favorited odds to be 5-1 as well.
Honestly, I don't hate it either because I do think I don't know how to explain this. Rodgers has been the difference maker. I don't care what anyone says that he's a difference maker for this team offensively.
He can actually read the field,
which I love.
Justin Fields, I think he passed for like 36 yards the other day.
-10 yards.
Oh, -10.
Net -10 yards.
He's the first quarterback in NFL history to throw 0 picks in the first 5 weeks and lose every game.
That's actually a crazy stat to think of. Like, I personally I don't know. I want Justin Fields to do good so bad, but there's getting to a point where it's like, when is he going to get over the hump?
I don't think so.
Obviously not with the Jets or anything. So.
Yeah, I think he's getting to the point where it might be time for a position change.
Career backup.
I think after this, I don't even think he offers that much as a backup. I think he offers something as a receiver or maybe even like a running back or a gadget player. But he's got to find his role at some point. So I don't have high hopes for Justin Fields. You got to get him in there's a reason he was good in college. They have simplified systems, so that's just what it is. And you're looking at some key stats for this game, this preview. Steelers 1-5 on Thursday Night Football.
Records don't mean nothing
Since 2019. I agree with that. Any given Sunday, I'm going to be honest. You could see the Steelers team crumble on Thursday.
Exactly.
And I wouldn't be shocked. And another good stat, Steelers are second in turnover differential. And then a lot of their team stats are a little shaky because of that bye week, that early bye week. It kind of throws them off in those total numbers. You could look at like average per game, but I was kind of just looking at totals
over
today.
like the last 2 games, there's been 5-6 turnovers they got in their favor, but I don't know. It should have been more, especially with that Ramsey. He got lucky in that Vikings game. But, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I being able to That's one thing. The Steelers' defense, they're so reliant on those splash plays, like turnovers and everything like that, that I feel like it overshadows actually being, a well-sounded defense. I don't know how to really explain it, but they just rely on creating turnovers. That's really it.
And I think this this is the first time we're fully gonna see. I think maybe not this Thursday, but the next game after that Packers game is. I think we're gonna see that defense in full swing.
Yeah.
Everyone's back. Everyone's
It's gonna
back.
stay healthy because I feel like
if this defense stays healthy, I think they can actually be a top unit. They've played a little shaky in the past, but if you have a quarterback thrown 50 times and he barely passes for he just passed over 200 yards, I think you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, Dylan Gabriel. I'm not gonna lie. I started feeling bad for him because I thought he was gonna be wheelchaired off the field because of the amount of times he was getting hit.
He was just getting a little
just like Carson Wentz.
Someone hit him. He was getting a little snippy. It was at Queen.
Yeah, I do remember to see that.
Who you taking in a fight, Patrick Queen or little Lord Gabriel? He's only like 5'10" or something.
I'll
take Patrick Queen all
I'll
day.
Take Queen. Hey, Jerry Jeudy was getting a little snippy too at some points in times.
It's because he got locked up.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
I'm gonna be honest.
Goofy. But, God, one thing. Ron Torbert's crew for officiating is so bad.
That quote unquote blocking or blindside block by Peppers on that good return.
Not gonna lie.
I think that's bogus.
I forget that kid's name. Was his last name Williams or
85?
Something? Yeah, 85. But I want to see more of him.
Uh-huh.
I like seeing him on the return there. I mean, Calvin, okay, cool, but
with Killebrew probably going on IR, I don't know. I'm curious who
they're probably gonna keep him up.
Elevate because they'll elevate somebody to the active roster.
If they can get special teams going,
mm-hmm.
everything's going on all three sides of the ball.
We'll see if they can continue that with their special teams captain getting.
It's still early.
Still early. Maybe Julius Peppers will take over that special teams role. He's got some dog in him.
He does.
But looking at the Bengals, they have the worst rushing offense in the NFL. I think the Steelers are pretty close, but they're not as bad. And they have the second worst passing defense and the fourth worst rushing defense.
Yeah.
So they're pretty bad on defense. This should be a game where like a rhythm setting game kind of for the Steelers. Things are starting to click on offense, especially with the run game. Can they get that click in full swing and be on that killer B type motion? You know what I mean?
I like the running back by committee thing.
Oh, I agree.
I love it. I mean, Caleb Johnson, I think if he gets his actual chance to shine, this would be the game for him.
He gets some steam rolling. I'm gonna say he had a couple good carries.
He's got some burst. He's got some burst.
Put in the JV time at the end for killing. They were just blitzing.
Hey, he's got some burst though, and I like that.
He had 2 9-yard carries or even 10 yards.
I mean, getting all three of those guys going, and then John O. Smith every now and then getting a little jet sweep. I love it.
Yeah,
and I love how Arthur Smith uses his jet sweeps. He's not like Matt Canada where it just never works. I feel like the jet sweeps are actually productive this year.
And something I brought up with the Browns is the my bad. The Browns defense, interior rushing defense, first in the league. Exterior, outside rushing, 14th. They kind of attack that a little bit, get those outside runs. That's kind of what I was talking about in that preview is, how can they set up those outside runs to actually tackle that full weak spot with the Browns defense? And I think they did it pretty well, especially if you go away from Myles Garrett. I think it opens up even more on the outside. So I think they attacked that pretty well. They had a couple good, outside carries and, jet sweeps from Jonnu, the big athlete. He's like 6'4", 245 or something, so he's a big dude. But no, key matchups. I think it's just going to come down to how does old man Joe perform for this Bengals team.
I'm not gonna lie. Did you see Mike Tomlin basically call Cleveland's GM stupid?
Yeah.
I agree with that sentiment. That was the worst.
The thing I saw is Cleveland says, screw this year. We're getting ready for whenever that new stadium's in. We're selling out for that year.
I really feel like that's just an excuse. I feel like they've been making up excuses every single year of their existence. Well, as far as I can remember. Mm-hmm. But I'm not gonna lie. I feel like Shadur is gonna get a start this year, sooner than later.
I do think he is as well.
It's gonna happen.
I'm curious who they'll bring up for that QB3 spot. I'd be funny if they bring some, like Zappy up from the practice squad. They're like, oh, sure, you're back at.
Not gonna lie. I think I'd rather trot out Bailey Zappi than Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, I don't know how much upside you're gonna get with Gabriel. I think he's a pretty decent like career backup kind of guy.
Honestly,
I think he can manage semi well out there.
I did see some, flashes of some shine, but if he wants to shine, it's not in Cleveland. I would say a quote here, but we're
the QB graveyard.
Yeah, I would say a quote, but we went a little, family friendly here, so I'll say it after the episode, but you can only guess. But yeah,
Oh, never mind. I was gonna say I saw some things saying Johnny Manziel might try and make an NFL comeback. They should sign him back, but I think he gave up already. So
I'm not gonna lie, Manziel's been doing a little bit extracurriculars. I'm so serious.
He's been skiing a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit too much.
But no, Flacco, I think it's just going to come down to can they give him a pocket to keep him upright?
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen. And then Metcalf versus anyone in that secondary, I think he can take any of them. Just are we going to have time and are we going to get the option to spread the field? Once you spread the field with Metcalf, if Austin's back with the wheels, Roman Wilson came in there. He got a catch last week. Yeah. He's on his Offensive Player of the Year run.
He got a first down, matter of fact. I'm not going to lie. I was like, he exists? He's alive?
Sometimes I was getting him and Scotty Miller mixed up at the bottom there from that side view.
Actually, I'm just now thinking about it. Do you know who I think might actually, step up a lot on special teams? Ben Skoranek.
Ben Skoranek.
He's a thumper out there, man. But I really hope that he comes through here.
Like the last key matchup, we got the Steelers pass rush versus that Bengals O-line. I think this is a pretty clear mismatch, and if they can actually, conquer that mismatch, I think they're going to be in a pretty sweet spot. And we got those are pretty much our Steelers keys to wins. But we got our predictions. I'm going to say 38-13 Steelers.
Honestly, I feel like the offense is going to start out a little stagnant like always. They always get a little slow start. Actually, no. This year, it's been inconsistent because some games they'll start good. Some games, they'll go 3 and out instantly. But it's not going to be close, but I think the defense is going to hold them. So I'm going to go with about 24-10, something around that realm.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, it's doable, but if they go above and beyond and get more than that, hey, I'll be happy.
Oh, I thought I was going to sneeze there for a second. But no, yeah, I don't know. I'm staying optimistic for this game. I want some explosive offensive plays. But as we look at, more news, we get our predictions in. Schefter's come out saying Steelers have been pretty active in this receiver trade market.
And they should be.
Yeah, I'm curious. Here's what I think is interesting is what's the wide receiver 2 usage rate like? You know what I mean? I really think the wide receiver 2 is whatever your tight end 1 is for that given week.
Honestly, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but what I'm just thinking about, I feel like a receiver 2 would be deadly to have for Rodgers because
if it's the right receiver 2. But if you add that receiver 2 that actually like elevates the offense, it's going to make it that much more dynamic with how big this team can play and and if they are able to spread the field. I think the main person that would be I don't think it's worth getting a guy like Alan Lazard or something small like that, a receiver 3.
They're saying A.J. Brown, Chris Olave.
I think A.J. Brown's a big ask. I think you'd have to give up a second or a third to grab him.
I mean, would you be mad with that?
Not necessarily, but I think if they're going to wait for this deadline, I think they're really going to make this trade if they can clearly tell, like, hey, we're actually in this Super Bowl race, and if we get a piece like this, we'll be able to elevate, like, we might actually be able to give ourselves a pretty high chance to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think their best option would be a guy like Chris Olave. I don't think his price is going to be as high as someone like A.J. Brown who's...
Free him from the rat boy down there.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think A.J. Brown's... I think he's solidified himself as a more higher quality receiver as Olave, especially with availability. So I think the main guy I'm looking at is someone like Olave. I'm curious if they'll be able to make that get that done. I'm curious. Yeah. I know they wouldn't do Ayuk because he's making Hella money.
Dude, I remember that when the whole Ayuk thing was transpiring. That was the worst time period to be a Steelers fan.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, I lied. No, that's not even.
But no, I'm pushing for Chris Olave. If the deal is right, I'd be okay with giving up like a fourth.
I wouldn't hate that.
I go a fourth, which might seem a little low, but if it gets to the point where Steelers are, I don't know, 6-2, 6-1, whatever, and the Saints are 1-6, you know what I mean?
Well,
they're at a point where they're just gonna sell house.
And I don't even think the Saints are even gonna do anything this year with Rat Boy. But you know what? Trade him. Trade for him. I don't even care. Trade for him. If I was in work on, I'd call him up right now and make the trade.
They called about Rashid Shaheed, which I think that's pretty interesting. Return guy and a deep threat. I just don't know if he's a big enough. I don't know. He kind of reminds me of Calvin Austin. Maybe he's a little bit more of established, receiving threat. But
I saw someone said Khalil Shakir. I'm like, no. I saw it on Twitter. I'm like, I wouldn't take him.
Yeah, I think Olave is interesting, especially if there's a point where he requests a trade that even lowers his value even more, in my opinion, just because the demand to get out of there. But we got our one question: are the Steelers Super Bowl contenders or favorites? And is there a difference between those two?
I feel like that word.
Opinion?
I feel like that word is synonymous with the other, but I wouldn't go as far as saying they're a Super Bowl contender or a favorite. First, I just want to see them, actually not fall apart at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
They need to start playing some meaningful football, and by that I mean we'll figure that out around December. So, in my opinion, I feel like it's a little too early to make that indication.
Mm-hmm.
But as of now, playoffs.
Playoff contenders.
I could see this team.
Playoff favorites.
I could see this team winning a playoff game depending on how things shape up. Because if the season ended today, the Steelers would be the 2 seed and be going against the Broncos, which I think is a winnable game.
Oh, for sure.
So I just think it depends. And I feel like the AFC is a little bit weaker this year. If you kind of I feel like it's a little bit weaker.
They're dropping stuff. Steelers beat Patriots. Patriots beat Bills. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Bunch of weird combos going around.
Took
Bills
a
look a little rough.
loss.
Yeah, and they got beat up pretty bad.
And that makes me a little bit optimistic about when we have to play them.
The Bills. Yeah. So the offense didn't look too hot. James Cook putting up 2 stinkers back to back. Luckily, had a 40-point lead going into that game. But I'd say it's too early to say contenders and favorites, and I do think there's a little bit of difference. I think favorite is higher ranked than contender, but I will say the Steelers are in the rat race. They're in the rat race for that playoff speed, that Super Bowl berth, playoff berth. I think they're one of the upper, potential teams that are in that rat race. A team like the Browns, they're not in that rat race, not even close. But I don't know why I was gonna say the Bengals, but Steelers, Bills, Jaguars, even Chiefs. I think they're all in that mix. That AFC is kind of up for grabs. If the Colts are the 1st seed and the Steelers are 2, it's one
Danny
crazy
Dimes led Indianapolis Colts.
One crazy 2025 season. So
you know what? I
think the race is wide open.
I think the NFC is also pretty interesting too, because I feel like that conference is also wide open.
Mm-hmm.
But, San Francisco, they can't stay healthy, so they're probably going to fall off the face of the earth here. And then the Bucs, they're decent.
Buccaneers, they're the number 1 seed.
Eagles are a little shaky. But I don't know. I feel like both conferences
I think Hurts has good passing ability this year.
If
that run game's gone, it's a little sketchy.
So we're probably gonna see some interesting, stuff happen here in the playoffs when that time comes. But my thing is, I'll say this for the hot take. I'll have 2 hot takes today.
2 hot takes. Oh my.
One's not really a take, but
quite the transition of the segments. Amir was just talking about it. We got our hot takes. Amir says he's got 2. He's gonna go 1. We'll shift it to me, and then we'll go over to Amir. What do you got?
So first off, this is kind of just a general observation and kind of feeding off what we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I think this year we're going to see, a different team than we've been seeing in the Super Bowl this year. We've been seeing a lot of Chiefs, Eagles, 49ers, all those teams in the last couple of years. So I think this year we're going to get a completely different matchup, completely different kind of aspect there. So I think this year's Super Bowl is going to be pretty interesting. even just going into the playoffs, I think the playoff picture, like I saw a picture of the playoff picture today, and I thought it was a little interesting. So that was kind of my first one there. It's not really much of a hot take, but it's just kind of an observation based off what's been happening so far this season.
And then my hot take, I don't necessarily think it's super hot right now, but I think shipping off a guy like Freiermuth could be something, depending what the get back is. I think if it's for a extremely solid receiver too, someone of the caliber of A.J. Brown or even Chris Olave, I think that's something worth looking into, especially with only 10 snaps. But I think this team needs to figure out what their identity is, and is trading Freiermuth going to give them enough flexibility to be a balanced offense? And I think it will. His usage isn't insane right now. I think he had like 10 snaps last game, and Darnell had 40. He's obviously tight end 1 right now, and I think it's pretty well deserved with what the offensive performance has been for the past few weeks. I'm curious if this team's willing to part with Freiermuth and what kind of interest they'd get back if it's someone like Olave. Yeah. I don't know if the Eagles would want Freiermuth because they have Goddard, but they like heavier sets with run games. Granted, Freiermuth isn't the best blocker. I'm curious if they were to shop him, what kind of offers would they get back?
And honestly, I don't think they'd get much back for Freiermuth. I'm not gonna lie with you. He, like you said, he's not really a good blocker. He's more effective in that kind of pass game. So if he can get traded to a system that can utilize him well, I think he'll be fine. But the way I feel like this offense is trending, I feel like Darnell is going to be that fit going forward. But you got to also think, what's Darnell's role going to be in the offense going forward? Or is he going to be that go-to target along with DK? So I think it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think Darnell's further solidifying himself as tight end 1, especially with how effective this big boy run scheme's going to be going forward, especially with how good that Cleveland run D is supposed to be. So curious what's going to transpire, especially with the trade deadline. We already have some trades going on with the Tyson Campbell and the Greg Newsome trade, which I thought was pretty interesting. Well, and then the Joe Flacco one.
That
was
a schematic trade, I believe.
I agree.
Just a fit scheme. So that really wasn't anything crazy.
But they're moving players right now. It sounds like it's decently active. I'm curious when the Steelers are going to strike and make that move.
Yeah, and going to my next take here. I've just been doing a lot of thinking. I watched the post-game conference from Aaron Rodgers, watched some media availabilities from earlier this week, and he talked a lot about Broderick Jones having possibly one of his best games as an NFL player.
Shutting down Myles Garrett.
Exactly. And I'm going to read the quote that Aaron Rodgers said. Well, hopefully he wasn't reading it, but based on the questions I was getting week 3, there was some negative stuff out there about how he was playing, Rodgers stated. I got a lot of confidence in him. That statement right there, I feel like shows that Rodgers is in control of the offense. And Trail, stay with me here. That he's in control of the offense, and I feel like that's going to build up the confidence of a lot of these younger players, especially on the offensive line. You're gonna, if the line takes care of Rodgers, he's going to take care of them in the offense. So I think that the offensive line, they're going to pull together here and probably become one of the better offensive line in the AFC and potentially the league by the end of the year. I feel like Broderick is starting to get a lot better. He's not looking clueless. And same thing with Fautanu. Fautanu obviously hasn't had a lot of reps, but I feel like he's getting to that point where he will be good,
Yeah. And I definitely think that interior section is putting it together better than our exterior with the tackles. But the stronger the interior base, the easier it is for those outside guys. Yep. They have an anchor on the inside. Granted, they're still on an island out there, but I think the cohesion and the collective is starting to, trend upwards. And that's definitely what you need with, some teams that can actually make themselves Super Bowl contenders and favorites. If you look at the Eagles, their O-line is year in and year out one of the better in the league, one of the better lines in the league. Depends on what you'll say about this tush-push stuff.
I hate that. I hate that so bad.
Yeah, I agree. I can see if you're on the 1 in the goal line, but they were like 3rd and 4, and they ran it like
That's so
2 times in a row.
bro.
And if you look at some of the videos, those guards are getting off early.
They are. They've been doing that, and I
There-
don't understand why the league hasn't said anything.
There's got to be some sort of way where you just got to figure out how to stop it. I don't know. You just got to
well,
if you think about it, the reason it's worked so well is that the O-line gets low and takes out the legs,
Yeah.
and you have people pushing from behind. What if you get your D lineman and get people pushing them, and they get low, and you just stack like the offense does? I don't know. I think there's some people don't. I don't know if people have fully prepared. Oh, we gotta stop this tush push. I think they're just oh, it's coming. Okay,
Honestly,
you know what I mean?
It's kind of like a exploit that can't be patched. That's what I'll say.
And I think if you ban something like that,
You gotta ban something else that's
you
similar.
gotta ban. Whenever the running backs kind of stop and the O line pushes them for the first down, then you gotta ban that. You know what I mean? Which I don't necessarily agree. I like the second thing I talked about, but the tush push, there's got to be a way to stop it.
Well, I know this isn't the same exact situation, but I remember when Kenny Pickett did that fake slide, they banned that.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like
That's
more of
I
a
think
player
that's a little
safety thing. I
different.
think that's
Yeah.
more of a player safety issue, but
Mhm.
a little bit along the lines of just
I do agree with the
certain
player
things,
safety.
yeah.
I think it's different from pushing the pile versus all these guys getting so low and banging up their knees and their head and all that.
See, I feel like they're trying to. Well, one thing I did realize, it reminds me of a rugby scrum a little bit. You know what I mean? Like rugby, they had those scrums. That's kind
Yeah.
of what I see from the Eagles there. Plus, I think they had a former rugby player on their offensive line at one point. here.
Jordan Mailata.
Yep.
It's their left tackle.
And a really
left
good
or right
singer.
tackle, something like that. But yeah, that is gonna do it for our episode here. Hopefully they pull off that nice Thursday night football win. It's been
Let's hope.
quite some time since they pulled it off.
I don't have Prime, so I won't watch it. It's like.
But we'll have a reaction episode up Friday morning, or that'll be me. I haven't put one out for a couple weeks, so that's gonna be it. We will see you, or I will see you on Friday.
See
We
ya.
will see you on Wednesday.